that one decision was where it started. But I think sometimes we put pressure on it. What if it goes wrong? Sometimes we need to take the pressure off ourselves as well. And I just thought, I want to be the adult I needed when I was younger in the corporate world. I'm going to change what I can control. And that is what I know, what I learn, how I show up, my personal brand. So look, personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's those things that people would say to describe how you show up and what you're famous for. Then am I getting clear on what I want and have I told people about it? Can I articulate a brand that aligns to where I've told them I want to get to, and therefore they will advocate for me? You have to make the changes to go after what you want. But we live in our own heads, and not everything we believe or we think is true. And sometimes it holds us back. Get out of your own head and get out of your own way.
Hey, welcome to the Leaders Podcast with me, Laura MacDonald, the leadership coach and mentor. Come with me as I explore the elements of leadership that give leaders like you the power and confidence to make the impact you know you can. I'll be sharing my own experiences, top tips and insights, and talking to some very special guests to share their thoughts and leadership experiences on mindset, influence, change and growth. So let's get right to it.
When I first spoke to my next guest, I can honestly say that I'd never had a conversation with someone with such conviction in her own personal brand. I'm very pleased to welcome Tasneem Bhamji, founder of Office Real Talk, digital executive in banking, and public speaker on everything from digital transformation to personal branding and equity in the workplace. Welcome to the Leaders Podcast, Tas.
Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
No problem at all. It's such a pleasure to have you here, and I'm excited to hear what you have to share with us all as well. But before we start, I have a question for you. So, we all know that to serve others well, you have to serve yourself, right? And my guests have been sharing all the things they do for our listeners so they can serve themselves better. So my question is, what have you done to serve yourself in the last 24 hours?
Oh, very good question. I watch Gogglebox in the evening when I come home from work because it's the only way where my brain switches off. And I find it absolutely amazing to just watch it and not have to think about anything apart from watching people watch TV. So yeah, definitely serve myself there. I wake up early every day, 5:30, and I have a high protein breakfast and I exercise in the morning. Like those things are absolutely non-negotiables. Just like making sure that I'm well fed so my brain works, and then exercising for my mindset. And then I think yesterday from a work perspective, I spent a lot of time with the team. I do every day. But we had a massive event on. A lot of my team were across the country at this event, and there was a huge energy and buzz. And I think when I spend time engaging with them on those topics of saying thank yous and well dones, I love doing it for them, but it's really good for me because it just makes me feel fulfilled and really proud. So yeah, those things mainly. But, some of those are everyday things and some of those are things that happen now and again.
I love the Gogglebox thing. I always find I sleep better when I've watched Gogglebox right before bed, right?
Yeah, it must be that because I actually fall asleep watching it most days.
It's such a strange concept, isn't it, to watch people watching TV? But in the same breath,
I can let you in on a secret. I watch it like people are recording me. Oh no, what's happening there? Or I crack a joke, laugh at it myself. Yeah, I've been home alone this week, so I've just been watching it on my own and it doesn't work in the same way.
Well, I can see you doing that. I think I've probably done that once or twice in the past. So.
An insight into my mind that you didn't ask for.
Absolutely. But no, I completely agree with you on the team side as well, spending time with the team and really appreciating them. I think there's something really self-fulfilling and just empowering, isn't there, about saying, actually, it's not just the fact that I'm being appreciative and the fact that the team will feel that, but it's also the sense of I'm doing my job. If they're able to do what they need to do, and do it well and feel good about it. And actually, I appreciate all their efforts as well. Then I'm doing my job.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think making people feel seen and valued is great. And, as a good deed of the leader, it's always good to recognize people for their efforts, but it also validates you that you've created the right culture, you've put the right people in the right jobs, and you've given them things that can help them succeed and win. I think that's amazing. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I would agree. When we spoke, you said you help other people like you find their path, their authentic voice. And one of the ways you do that is you share your journey on how you got here. So how did you get here?
Oh God, yeah. So I started my career journey, I would say official career journey, kind of working in a call center part-time while I was at uni. And I'd done a couple of call center jobs kind of, before that. But yeah, I was working in a call center at a bank while I was at university, and I picked up any shift I could get, right? So, morning, afternoon, evening, outside of uni hours, and was just basically working to make as much money as I can. And then graduated uni and wanted to go and have a career as a journalist. And I did a journalism and editorial design degree and asked my boss's boss at the time if I could go and visit the press office, et cetera, et cetera. And she went, "Why do you want to do that? You could have a job here." I thought, I don't know what that means. But anyway, I was looking for journalism jobs the whole time, and there wasn't really much nearby. I'm from Birmingham. I'm from a single parent family. Me and my mum super close, almost kind of in a codependent relationship, probably growing up. And I just didn't feel like I could be that far away. And with all the extra hours I was working, etc., I couldn't financially envision how I could go and get a job, doing a very junior job as a kind of entry journalism job. But maybe I would say I think it was 16, 17 grand at the time, and justify living away and not being as a support for my family because, I've got younger siblings, etc. as well. And so the bank I was working at and, my boss's boss, who I mentioned earlier, created a role, and she said, "I'd love you to go for it." And it was working every Saturday and 4 days a week, 1 till 9, right? So you didn't really have a social life. You'd wake up, you'd kind of get ready, make some breakfast, go into the office. You'd finish at 9 p.m, sometimes 9:30 because it's a call center if a call goes over, do all the things you need to do, and every Saturday. And I applied for the job because I thought while I'm looking for the right journalism job, I'll go for it. And I got it. And that decision was probably a key pivotal point in my life because actually what I wanted to do was go and change the world by being a journalist and go and talk about, foreign policy, current affairs. And if you think about the world right now, those things are so important. That's what I wanted to go and talk about. I wanted to be a person of impact in that space. But because of my family situation, my upbringing, and also some of my, I suppose, ingrained cultural beliefs of I need to be here with my mum. She's on her own. We've got younger siblings. She's working. I need to be able to help. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, right? I just felt like I had to make the sensible decision, and I have zero regrets about making it because, look now, life's worked out. But when you grow up in a single parent household and, I grew up on free school meals, my mum worked as a seamstress, week to week. It was tough. So you make different choices based on your upbringing. So I'm glad I made that choice, no regrets. And then continued to work through that bank. Worked full time, had the top performing team, went and lived abroad in the Philippines, which was great. 25, living in the Philippines. Mad. What an experience. Great. Yeah, it was amazing. Culturally, it changed me. And it's the first time in my life I'd spent time away from home like that, but also the first time in my life I'd spent time with myself like that. So that was mad. So I did that and then came back, did another role at the same bank. Realised I'd kind of outgrown it. It wasn't for me, I wasn't really getting any more money. I was kind of top performing, but carried on and then got approached by another bank to go work for them after having met them at some event. Took the leap and worked out of Milton Keynes for a long time commuting. It's a 6:50 a.m. train from Birmingham New Street to Milton Keynes. It's a joy every day and back. Didn't leave. And went and got paid £40,000 for my first head off job at 27. And that was life-changing money. I was like, oh my God, that's going to change my family's life. And I was able to contribute more and help mum. And, before I took this call centre job, I did 2 jobs in summers, one to pay for me and being a young adult. And then the other one just to kind of help mum out with credit cards and stuff like that. So yeah, I did that, then left there after getting promoted, moved to London, then moved to another bank, worked there for a bit, moved into kind of technology, transformation, did a few risk roles, worked there for a while and did amazing things, left, went and did a bit of a gig, which I thought was a bit of a risk, with a private equity firm and a charity. And it was, well, actually, it's not probably a charity. It was more of a kind of, social purpose company. Didn't work out, left. I went and did a bit of consulting and then took a career break and just had a bit of time to myself to figure out what I wanted. And that's when I started Office Real Talk, which I'll talk about a bit later, I'm sure. But then ultimately went and got the job I've got now. And I've been back at the company I'm at for like 3 years. I've done 3 jobs in that time and I'm working in digital, which is great. So I've done like loads of different jobs, but mainly have kind of worked up the ranks and made one big decision at a very young age that completely changed the trajectory of my life with 0 regrets. But I think probably the biggest thing when you say, how did you get here? Is that decision was purely circumstantial based on my background, where I'm from and what life almost threw at me.
I think it's worth pointing out, like, to anybody that's listening, that I very rarely in the prep calls for these recordings have a conversation with guests about that story, of how you got here. Most of the time, if I don't know that guest, I'm listening to this for the first time. It's always a wonderful experience for me, because I sort of think, not just look how much you've done, but like, look at what you've done. Look at the experience that you've had. And 99% of the time, that exact point comes up. One decision changed my life. One decision, or one circumstance or one something that was done to me has changed my life entirely. And it rings so true for so many of us, I think. I think it's important to sometimes just point that out directly and go, actually, don't regret a single thing, because look where you are now.
And you know what, though? We all say that thing, and I think you're absolutely right. One decision can change your life. But then because we believe that, sometimes we're so scared of making decisions and we can be so afraid of making the wrong decision. But I could have made 100 decisions in my career that could have changed the trajectory again. I kept deciding to be on this trajectory. And I made difficult decisions all the way around to not stay in the same field I was in. I could have stayed in the call center. I could have stayed at that first bank. I could have stayed in operations. I could have stayed in risk management. I could have stayed in anything. So our lives and where we end up ultimately is because we made a series of decisions along the way. That one decision was where it started. But I think sometimes we put pressure on it. What if it goes wrong? Well, then you can make another decision and put it right. We get to choose all the time, every single day, what we do with our lives, right? So I think that sometimes we need to take the pressure off ourselves as well.
I completely agree. When people sort of talk to me about career development and their goals and, where they want to be in 5 years and, that awful interview question. I always say, my goal at 19 was to become a kitchen manager, like a top grade kitchen manager in the company that I was working in. Well, I achieved that by the time I was 24. So what next? There's got to be something else. And there's more decisions that you make. I never would have dreamed that I would come out of hospitality and go into education and training. I never would have dreamt that I'd been made redundant from education and training, and therefore never would have dreamt that I'd have the business I have now. You make decisions based on what's happening around you, and they are active choices. That actually one decision can change the course, but actually there's many more decisions beyond that. You mentioned Office Real Talk again. So just explain to people what that is, what you do, why you set it up.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's basically a social media page on Instagram, and it's where I give career guidance and share career experience from my perspective. So I'm a corporate exec, I'm brown, I'm a woman, I'm neurodiverse, I come from a free school meals background, blah, 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 whatever you want to say, right? But I'm a lot of things. And as I grew up through my corporate career, I had very, very few people that I could relate to. And as I look back and I've gone through it, that's still true today. So I can, do I see more, kind of ethnic minority people? Yeah, 100%. Do I see a lot of ethnic minority women who are more senior than me? Still not. Do I see ethnic minority men? Yeah, I mean, they're running the biggest tech firms around the world, right? And in Silicon Valley. But closer to home, I don't see a lot more. And it's because I'm quite senior now. I don't see a lot more senior than me. Do I see really senior people talking about how they're neurodiverse and how that impacts them? No. I don't see a lot of people talking about social mobility and where they grew up. And so as a result of that, I realized that if I'm feeling that and I've got to where I am now, I've really had to learn the hard way. I've had to figure loads of stuff out on my own, all the way from, like figuring out that diversity isn't my problem to solve, to, how to chair a meeting properly that no one taught me, the first time I had to do it. So things like that just kind of really stuck with me. And I just thought, I want to be the adult I needed when I was younger in the corporate world. And so I set that page up to basically talk to people about those things. And I set it up, maybe a couple of years ago. It's like massively been like side of desk because I've got such a busy day job, as you can imagine, and a whole life in between that as well. But more recently, I would say over the last kind of 5 months or so, have been more active on there because I'm really passionate about this. I'm really passionate about representation. I'm really passionate that everybody gets their chance. And the reason that I find that this page is different maybe is because a lot of people leave corporate and don't always have that lived experience. And then there's some great people out there who do. I don't hate corporate. I think it affords you so much security. I think, yes, it can be hard to navigate at times, but so can running your own business, as I'm sure you would say, right? But I think also, I find that people from minority backgrounds or women, will say sometimes it's really hard for women in the workplace. Correct. It's really hard for ethnic minorities in the workplace. Correct. Oh, there's a level of bias. 100% correct. Oh, I'm not made to feel welcome. 100% correct if that's your experience. All of those things are true. Yes, there's not gender parity. Yes, ethnic minorities are paid less. Yes. Yes, there might be sexist. Yes, there might be people who are racist. All of the above. But you can't control that. You cannot control how people show up. And yes, you can influence the system, but you can't wholeheartedly change a whole corporate entity. It's taken me a long time to realize that. What you can change is how you show up. What you can change is how you play the game. And I don't mean that in a political, nasty way. It's like, how you carry yourself, how you advocate for yourself, all of that. What you can change is your environment. If you don't like where you work, if you believe all of those things are true of your employer, go find something better. And you can change how you show up on your CV or on your LinkedIn or, how you get sponsorship. So for me, it's really about tapping into that mindset of, I don't need to go and be sitting there feeling like woe is me and misery loves company and all of those things. I'm going to change what I can control. And that is what I know, what I learn, how I show up, my personal brand. And so that's why I started it. And it's honestly probably one of those things that I feel brilliant about doing. It never feels like work. And I just we all think about leaving the world better than we found it almost, or what our legacies will be. And I just hope that through that, more people can find their confidence and go, actually, I took that chance. I put myself out there. I got that job. I feel better about myself. I walked away from something toxic, whatever that is. Those mindset shifts will make me feel really proud if people kind of hang on to those.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a valuable mission to be on, is just that thing of just leaving the world a little bit better than you found it. But to do it in a way of, I'm going to be that visible representation to those people that are like me. That's so important. It's so empowering, and actually, incredible admiration for you doing stuff like that, because it is people like you that do things like that make a difference in the world, that move everything forward. But you mentioned personal brand. I mean, as I said at the beginning, you speak very clearly on your own personal brand, and you stated to me, we're all one of one. How would you define the term personal brand, and what is yours?
Yeah, that's amazing. It's a good question. I had a career chat actually with someone earlier today. I was like, what's your personal brand? And they couldn't articulate it. So look, personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's not always what people say to you, which is what we think sometimes. Oh, they think I'm great. They think I'm fun. It's how people perceive you. And unfortunately, or fortunately, perception is people's reality. What people see of you, how they experience you, is what they will say about you. Good and bad. Both things can be true. And so your personal brand isn't the jobs that you've done. It's not your job title. It's not where you last worked. It's not your industry. It's not your sector. Those people say, I'm a consultant in financial services. That is not a brand. That is a descriptor of your work experience. Your personal brand is those things that people would say to describe how you show up and what you're famous for. And they can be all the way from your personality traits to what you're good, bad, ugly at, all of those things. So my personal brand and the way that I like to talk about my personal brand. So in terms of, I think about it in two ways. I think about my personality, and then I think about what I, from a work perspective, what would people say? So I think from a personality, how I show up perspective, I think people would say very direct, assertive, and straight talking. As you can see, like I just carry myself in that way. And some people love that and some people hate it. Both things are fine. I'm cool with that, right? I'm not for everyone. I think then secondly, they'd say like high energy, really driven, and get shit done, 100%. And then the third thing they'd say is, fun to be around, but really fast paced. Like it's not for everyone to work with Tas because it's quite like fast paced. All of those things are true. And I'm aware that that's my personal brand. Now, some people experience that and go, can't work for her. It's too fast, it's too driven, find it quite direct, don't like it. Other people, she's very direct. It's really easy to know what she's thinking. I love the pace, love the energy. All are true. And anybody who hears that brand can dig in and understand more and figure out if they want to experience it or not, either directly through me or through others. And then from a work perspective, I always talk about my three things. This is my kind of way that I do it. So if someone says, Tas, what do you want? Or tell me about what you do or what you like or all of those things. I will talk about myself and say, look, I'm really good at solving complex problems. That is kind of my top skill. It's my modus operandi. Like I can solve complex problems. I'm great at leading and influencing big groups of people, either directly that work for me or more broadly through an organization or complex, stakeholder network. And the third thing is I'm great at using technology to solve things. And I like playing with it and experimenting with it. And my job that I do now as a digital leader, and a digital exec, solve complex problems. I work across the entire organization, have a large team, and I use technology to make things better and innovate. Those three things are things that I love. They're also my brand because I'm good at them. So I've made myself good at them. I talk about myself in those three ways. And if other people heard you, they say, oh, Tas will know how to do that. She's good at solving hard things. Or if it's bringing a load of people together, yeah, Tas will be good at that. You have to say it about yourself. And then people say it about you. But if I said I was good at those three things and I wasn't good at them and nobody believed I was good at them, I can walk around saying them, but I'm deluded. I could walk around saying, do you know what? Tas is great at, I don't know, something that I'm not great at. I don't know, driving. I can't drive. Tas is a great driver. Like she can teach people how to do things. Her hand-eye coordination is great. And I think 20 people who don't know me would hear that and go, I've heard of Tas and I've heard that she can absolutely not do that. I've seen her fall over at least 3 times because that's the truth. So you can't be deluded in what you're saying about yourself. It's got to be grounded in fact. And I think you've got to start with, what do people say about me? What would I like them to say about me? And what's the delta between getting there? Because just because you want people to say shit about you doesn't mean they will. And then the things that you're good, bad, and ugly at, you've got to figure out if people really think that. And if you want that to be a brand, get good at it. Go and find jobs that do it. Or base your brand around what you're already good at. These things are things that I've picked up along the way, but they don't say things like, I'm good at transformation. I'm good at digital. Because I've not boxed myself in. I can be good at anything. And look, there might be 200 people that also say everything I've just said to you. But I'm one of one in the way that you might experience me, how I show up, and we all are. And the biggest thing on personal brand is how you talk about yourself, is how people talk about you. You literally give people permission to talk about you in the way that you talk about yourself. So, I'm always quite nervous, I find myself quite anxious. People will say, yeah, we could give her that opportunity, but she's quite a nervous and anxious person. I wonder how she'd cope in those difficult situations. Even though they might not have experienced that about you, because you've said it, you've now spoken a truth about yourself that you've given permission to someone else to talk about you like.
I love that you include good, bad, and ugly. I love that you include all those things. I think there's still such a massive misconception, isn't there, that personal branding, especially when it's somewhere public like LinkedIn, still needs to be totally positive, 100%. I'm good at everything. It can't be, can it? It's got to be the whole picture of you. It's the same with when you're trying to develop yourself in any way. It's like you can't just say, well, these are my strengths. It's like, okay, what about your areas for development? You've got to see the whole picture to get to wherever you want to get to.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that you included that.
I don't make the things that I'm not good at my entire personality. Someone said, would you like to sit and look at spreadsheets every day? 100 million % not. Do I have people around me that like to do? Yeah. Can I look at data? Can I draw trends? Can I ask difficult performance questions? Can I drive performance? 100%. Is data my personality? No. Would I put it into my brand? No. If there was a job I was going for, I'd probably say I'm data driven. But I wouldn't say I'm a data expert because I'm not. Like, speak your truth.
And be realistic about it. Like you said, there's 200 people that could say exactly what you just said about yourself. But sometimes we think about the words or the phrases that we want to use about ourselves. And actually, it's immediately what we go to is the idyllic words, the things that we perceive as the best things that other people could possibly say about us. And actually, if that's not aligned with our personality, or it's not aligned with what somebody could say about what it's like to work with me, then there's no point saying it. You've got to be quite realistic and really be able to analyze yourself and understand yourself to be able to say, yeah, this is who I am, and get people to say the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love people to say more than not, she's balanced. And I think people experience me would go, that's a bit dramatic sometimes. Personality trait. And that's probably true. I'm very fair, but I'm a bit dramatic. And I'm not dramatic in my work. I'm just, oh my God, what's happened? But, it's like, you can have what you want people to say about you, and then you can just have a real conversation with yourself about, like, how do I show up? And you don't have to almost rain on your own parade. You just need to be selective, I suppose. There's an art in that.
How important would you say it is for leadership, particularly, to develop that personal brand, and what advantages are there to showcasing it outside of your organisation as well as inside?
I think from a leadership perspective, it's so important, whether you're leading people or leading work, people gravitate towards like leaders, right? And I always say you get to choose who you work for ultimately, right? So you don't always get to pick your boss, but you do get to decide if you want to stay working for them. Every day you get a choice. And so you decide based on their personality traits, their behaviors and their brand, whether you want to work for them, right? And your brand isn't just what you say about yourself and what people say about you. It's how you consistently show up. Your new boss might go, do you know what? I'm this, and this. And then you meet them and they're completely the opposite of all of those things. So it's how you consistently show up. And so I think it's really important in leadership. And look, I'll say what's even more important than leadership is followership. And people follow brands of people that they admire, they respect, they love, they want to work with, etc. So having a personal brand that people can follow and be inspired by is absolutely important. There's a lot of leaders, but not everybody has followership. And I think followership is what makes good leaders great. And then having it outside of your organization is so, so important. So whether that's when you're in meetings or you're networking or on LinkedIn as well, like having a personal brand where people can read your about section and go, I get a sense of this person. I get a sense of what matters to them, what they're about. People reading your kind of tagline at the top, right? And if it says your job title, that's not a personal brand. Please, public service announcement, please remove your job title from your personal brand. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, or from your tagline on LinkedIn, it's not needed. People find that anyway. And I think in those spaces, what people will do is quickly build up a picture about you. I think what they'll know is actually, this is someone I like to gravitate towards. This is someone I can learn from. I want to follow their journey. I want to know what they're posting about. I'd like them on my team. I'd like to work for them. I interviewed a bunch of people recently, and 3 of them said, I'm actually going for this job because I've been following you on LinkedIn and I just love some of the stuff you post. I'm like, I want to come and work for you. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And they're people from other organizations and other sectors. And I was quite surprised by that, but it was a lesson to me that actually people are always looking and watching. Having a presence in those places is so important. What people get wrong so often, and especially women and people from like kind of minority backgrounds and those kind of scarcity mindsets is, well, I only need LinkedIn when I'm looking for a job. People are watching you all the time. Like, I'm going to get a new boss soon. Like, my boss is leaving, he told us he's leaving. I'm going to get a new boss. If I was a new boss, I'd be going, right, who's going to be on my team? I'd be looking at all of their LinkedIns. I'd be looking at what they're about, be stalking to figure out who's who, how do they show up, what do they do? People are making an impression of you all the time. It's not just when you're looking for a job. And I think having that brand is a differentiator, because I always say there's also 2 job markets, the one where you're looking and the one where people are looking for you. Being the second one, that's where the position of power is.
And I think that's still something I see quite commonly, is that misunderstanding that LinkedIn effectively is a digital CV. Now, to some extent it is. You put your job history on and whatever. But it's more than that. A CV is simply a fact sheet about why you're qualified to do the job you're applying for.
Right.
But LinkedIn goes beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't always utilize that tool for what it is. I see people doing that quite a lot because a lot of my circle is business owners, senior leaders and executives, all this kind of stuff. I see people who have learned that lesson. But so many people still, you click onto the LinkedIn profile and it's like, well, I did this job at this place and that's all the responsibilities I had. And it's like, okay, what about you? Who are you?
Yeah.
And that's quite often something that people still leave out, and I think actually can be incredibly valuable to you, whether you're in leadership or not. Because like you say, people are always watching you.
Yeah, agree. I think you're always giving off a brand or a perception. And a lot of people that treat LinkedIn as a digital CV are completely missing the point of what it's about.
100%. The big thing you mentioned was the advocate for you. When you have others able to describe your personal brand and just be able to tell other people, this is what Tas is like, what are the key actions or steps to gaining that advocacy from others, other than what you've already mentioned about the way you speak about yourself?
Yeah, so I think, look, firstly, like the way you speak about yourself, absolutely right. Secondly, I think like the foundation is just being good at what you do. No one's going to advocate for you if you're not good at your job. So don't sit there and worry about why you're not getting a promotion or why you're not being pushed forward in the organization, even though you're a really good performer, because what you think good performance is might not be what they think good performance is. So get really aligned on what good looks like. I know so many great people who are brilliant at what they do. I don't think they're ready for promotions because they're great individual contributors. They can do their job and they can do it really well. I don't see them as strategic. I don't see them as leaders. I mean, they lead teams. I don't see them as kind of more senior leaders. I don't see them as able to influence direction and stuff like that. And I think in those scenarios, getting really clear on, am I showing up really good in my day job? Tick, right? That's the entry point. Then, if I want people to advocate for me, I need to make it clear to them what they need to advocate for me for. Please do not advocate for me to go and be a HR director. I don't want you to. I don't want to be one. It's not the job I want. I don't think I'd be very good at it. I know 20 other people at it that are brilliant. You should advocate for them to go and be one. But if someone went and advocate for me to be one, two things could be true. One, that they think that they should be advocating for me on that. Or two, I've led them to believe that that's okay. And remember, I can only control one of those things. So you got to get really clear about what you want. If you don't know what you want, how can someone else help you get it? Be good at your job. Be clear about what you want. Then people can help you go get it. And then go and talk about what your brand is that will help you get the job or the role or the type of roles that you want. Make that your brand and get good at those things. So if you want to be a HR leader, you need to be good at a bunch of stuff. You need to be good at policies. You need to be good at kind of like culture. You need to be good at understanding, up to an extent in some organizations, like the law, unions, like legal implications, etc. Don't say that's your brand and not know how to do any of those things. Go and find jobs that make you do those things. Or at least do a subset of those things, and then you make that your brand. I almost believe that there's so many people out there who go, my personal brand is these things, and then want that to carry them through into their next role. What got you here won't keep you here. If I use the same mentality I did working in the call center using operational leadership as I do now, I wouldn't be here. So you have to think about, where am I now? Am I good? Do I have the right to entry? Then am I getting clear on what I want, and have I told people about it? And then once I've done that, can I articulate a brand that aligns to where I've told them I want to get to? And therefore they will advocate for me. 3 steps.
Oh, good.
Play like that. It's much harder and it takes longer in practice, right? But I've got the scars. I've done it. Right? I've done it. Lived experience.
There's a huge conversation around authenticity right now, like everywhere, about everything. And obviously an authentic personal brand is important, but there is often this misconception that authenticity means that you have to showcase everything to everyone all the time, lay it all on the table so the whole world can see it. What would you say is authenticity in personal branding?
I think it's feeling like you can be yourself for whatever that means to you. And I know that sounds cliche. I always say to my team, be so comfortable being yourself. Everyone around you feels comfortable being themselves too. That's my whole mantra. And my proudest moments I can think of this year, and I can think about 2 or 3 of my direct reports and how much they've just started to be themselves at work. They like that, when they came to work for me, they're like, I'm quite timid and quite shy and quite introverted and nervous. And now they're just like cracking jokes. They're so assertive. They're really good at like challenging me. We have a laugh together. And it's not the work they do, it's how they feel, it's how they come across, they look happy. And I love that. So for me, it's about being really, really honest with yourself about what do I feel comfortable sharing about me and talking about. And then share those parts as much or as little as you want. Don't make up anything about you that isn't true, because that's not authentic. And it's also means you don't have integrity. It can be quite like disingenuous, actually. So as an example, I got diagnosed with ADHD a couple of years ago. I have never, ever posted that on LinkedIn. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. It took me a while to talk about it on Office Real Talk, and I do. But actually on my personal Instagram page, I don't really ever talk about it. I've, I think, only 1 or 2 times shared like a meme, and I love a good meme, from an ADHD page, because I don't think people would get it. I do share them with my husband, right, who lives with someone who's neurodiverse, and now kind of relate to all of the havoc that sometimes that creates in our house. But I do feel safe talking about it on Office Real Talk, which is quite interesting, because I feel like that's somewhere that I can show up as me, all the different parts of me. So you don't have to say everything about everything everywhere. I don't say a lot of things in a lot of places about my life, but I do always show up as honest, as vulnerable, as willing to listen and be heard. And I think that's all we can be, right? I hate this thing of I've got to tell everyone everything all the time about me and be on. Like, you don't need to. You owe nobody that. You owe nobody that. And if you don't feel like sharing your opinion in a moment on something that's personal to you, do not. Don't ever anybody make you feel like you have to. I think we have to bear it all out there, and then people are going to pick whether they like us or not. Not a chance. On me, take it or leave it. And there's bits of me that I might keep to myself. It's not because I'm hiding anything from you. It's because I'm still figuring out how to live with it myself. I don't know, maybe it's too simple, but that's how real it feels to me. And I think the ADHD thing, just as I'm talking to you about it, I can almost feel my heart racing a little bit. Like, I'm only learning to get more comfortable talking about it. I'm diagnosed in my late 30s. Like, that's hard. I'm a brown woman. Everybody can see that. This is something I've just learned about myself, and it's very new to me. At 2, I was probably just learning to walk. It's only been I think maybe 2 years since I found out. So I'm still learning. So I don't feel ready to put it out there. I don't feel ready to advocate for it. I don't feel ready to go and sit on neurodiversity panels or go and talk about those things.
And I think an important thing to recognise there as well is that you don't have to.
100%.
Like,
I went and talked about AI last week, or the week before. I'd rather talk about that than go and talk about what it's like to live with ADHD and work. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I haven't nailed it. Sorry. I don't want to talk about it. It's hard for me. It's emotional for me. I find it difficult. I don't want to talk about it. End of.
One of the things that I've kind of just lived by, I suppose you'd call it a principle. One of the labels that's attached to me, it's not a secret. Everyone knows. And it's who I've always been. But do I go out there and actively stamp my foot down and say, you're going to listen to me on this? No. Because actually, for me, one of the biggest ways to help the world understand that label is for me to just be a part of the world like I've always been. I've never not been.
And Kristen, in those spaces.
Society.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'm still here. So it's like, I'd rather just be a part of the world.
Yeah, I love that.
And most people who know me, I can imagine, would probably never say that particular label is anywhere near the top 10 of things that they would say about me, or even the top 20.
Isn't that just the thing? I don't think people would start introducing me as Tas is a woman and she is brown. It's what I might say, because in the corporate world, that's a scarce thing. But I think people would just go, oh, Tas, yeah, she's nuts. She's loud. So much energy. They're the kind of things people say about me. Do you know what I mean? They don't start with my ethnicity or my gender or, how my brain works. I don't think anybody's talking about my frontal lobe. Like, it's fine. Yeah, there you go.
Definitely not. If they were, might be slightly concerned.
Wouldn't I just?
I think that's the key point, really, isn't it? About authenticity, is just bring to the table what you feel comfortable bringing to the table.
100%.
And that can be everything. I mean, I've got a son. I talk about him on LinkedIn. I talk about the stupid things he does, or the little lessons he reminds me of. But do I share pictures of him? No, because that's me and my family. That's personal to me.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I love what you said about being enough of yourself that other people feel that they can be themselves too. That's really important, I think, because we're still, no matter what level you sit at, so many people still put up this professional wall, don't they?
I agree.
They almost become this whole new person, like when they walk in the office door. And actually, to bring that down,
that front goes on.
Yeah. When you do see those walls coming down in your team, like what happens? What happens to the dynamics, to the effectiveness, to what happens in your team?
Productivity is up. Engagement is up. We do some of our best work. Everyone takes themselves a little less seriously. I always say at work, like, I don't take myself seriously, but I take my work seriously. And that's exactly what happened in that moment. We'll just sit there and we'll laugh and we'll chat through things. One of my favorite things to do is to have sessions with my team where I did one this morning and it was great. Like, there was 6, 7 of us on a call, all from different teams in my team, right? So I've got like 4 teams, different people came on. And we're working on this one topic and we're just like kicking stuff around, we're having a bit. And the first, I think it was like the first 6 minutes of the call was just all of us laughing. Like, we're just cracking jokes, small talk that just then went into me sharing some messages from the family group chat. We were all just laughing. And then I was like, right, let's get into it. And then we got into it and we're like kicking stuff around. I know when to move from those different altitudes with the team as well. But actually, we just ease into stuff and it's so nice.
Makes such a difference.
I think it just makes everybody feel great. I do think there's one thing probably to touch on when you talk about, people like feeling like they need to show up differently. I think what's probably really common, and it's really common on people kind of grew up in kind of those underprivileged areas. So as an example, if you've come from those kind of backgrounds, like I have, I grew up in Birmingham. Statistically, it's one of the most socially deprived areas in the country. I've got friends who have grown up on council estates, stuff like that, and we'll talk about this stuff. We haven't got elocution lessons. We don't talk posh. Even some of my northern friends, they'll talk about, God, my accent. It's like people just like, oh, he's from the north or whatever. And if you're from an ethnic minority, it's why you feel like you need to show up differently. So what's really common is code switching. Like, you'll talk like blah, 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 blah at home, and then you're on a call or you're in the office and you talk differently. And we all do it. We all do it. And there's this really common thing in my family. My niece is 14, and she says that when we all go to work and she hears us on call, we put on our white voices. And it's really common when you talk to Asian people about it. I don't know if it's common, like, just like you speak differently. And like, English is all of our first languages, right? Including my mum, like, she's, Yorkshire born. But you probably talk a little bit less rough than you would when you're at home because we're quite colloquial, or we're from like the arse end of Birmingham or whatever, right? So we might talk differently. Whereas like when I'm with my friends, the way that we would message and text is completely different. Like the slang we use, I don't think it would be understood when I'm with my peers in corporate. So it's like code switch. Whereas like when I talk to my PA, I can talk to her like that. Or like when I talk to some of the Asian people and the Black people in my team, I wouldn't actually like speak to them like that. So it is really weird. Like, you do code switch. And it's very common, and I don't know how to change it, right? I would love to say you don't feel like you need to do it, but I don't even think people do it on purpose. I just think it's a thing that happened when we started going to work.
Yeah. I mean, one conscious thing that I've definitely done, I moved to London and half of my staff and half of my housemates couldn't understand a word I was saying. Because I was speaking in a more northern accent. So I had to change my accent. But I consciously
I had a boss like that. He was from Grimsby.
Yeah. I was near Grimsby. I was in Lincolnshire. But yeah, I consciously changed my accent, but I naturally, over time, pick up other people's accents and behaviours and stuff anyway. Yeah. So over time, when I moved back home, I was kind of like, yeah, actually, a lot of my family and friends are now saying that I sound like I'm from London, even though I'm from nowhere near London.
Oh yeah, now you're
and yeah,
here now, yeah.
Absolutely. But that was a conscious choice, you know what I mean? But yeah, I see what you mean. It's kind of that you think that you have to be a certain way when you go into the professional environment.
Yeah. And But then also, like, sometimes you do. Like, I can't walk around saying bro and fam in a meeting at work. Like, I just can't. But I can when I talk to my sister. Or one of my friends, me and her, we always message each other, calling each other bro. Like, that's just what we do. And she works for a social mobility charity, and I'm a banking exec. We don't write bro in our Teams messages, or we don't say it in our emails. Like, blah, 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 kind regards, but that's how we talk to each other. And that context switching can be exhausting, but it's become so natural to us. And I'd love to say to people, stop doing it, but I don't think that's true. I don't think you can say that.
No, I would agree. I think there's a certain the more traditional sort of definition of professionalism, isn't there? That's still expected and will probably always be expected.
But it doesn't have to be stiff professionalism like we knew 20 years ago, or got to wear a suit, I must play golf, and
just bringing the two worlds, who you are and who you need to be, as close together as possible. So that actually, if you can.
Yes, well.
What struck me most about our last conversation was your statement on self-advocacy. Essentially, you said telling people what you want because no one is going to give you what you want. What brought the realization of the need for self-advocacy in for you?
Do you know what? I can't think of a single moment. I just feel like I've gone through life and work, and just watched everyone work so damn hard. My dad swept floors. My mum used to sew all night and all day just to put food on our table. And I just think, so did my nan. I remember just growing up seeing that. And I just think, like, you have to make the changes to go after what you want. I think people think they're going to pick me. They're going to see me. They're going to offer me the job. Yes, I've been offered loads of jobs. Yes, I've been headhunted. Do you think that came from just sitting there and expecting they'd pick me? No. We were laughing about it on the weekend, actually. It might have been a couple of weekends ago. My mum said to my husband, she came over to stay, and she went, do you know, I used to sit there and say to her, that laptop, I'm going to throw it away because I'm always on it. And I said to her once, I remember when I was younger, and I was like, this laptop's going to be the reason we're all going to have money and be all right one day, Mom. So don't touch my laptop. And she was laughing, and she was right. I put in the work. So I think that thing of, if you think that you're just going to get the handouts, you're going to get the opportunity. No, you have to go after what you want. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to ask what you want. Nobody goes into the chicken shop and says, oh, guess what I want? And then hoping that they'll give you the right order and you walk out. You don't. You ask for the food that you want to eat. And then you walk away with the right bag of food and you go and eat it at home. Like, that's it. And I just think it's that kind of mentality that we just think we're just going to get something given to us and it will be the best thing ever and it will be exactly what we need and someone should mind read. There is definitely privilege in the world. Yes, people who have money go and make more money, right? Yes, people who went to better schools do better because they have more money invested in them per child in their education than we have if we go to, non-private schools. All of those things are true. But that doesn't mean you can't get to where you want to be. And I think you just really have to relentlessly go after what you want. And if you're not getting it, move. You're not a tree. Just move. So many people are attached to a company or a boss or a situation. If you're not getting what you need, just go. I just honestly feel like I could shake people. If you're not going to do anything about it, don't sit here and talk to me about it. You can feel sorry for yourself. You can take some action. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not getting like the job I want. I've been looking for a promotion for ages. And then you go on their LinkedIn and it's like rubbish. Their CV's rubbish. They've not got anything about their personal brand on there. And then you go, well, have you looked for any jobs? Yeah, I've been in my organisation looking for a job for about 5 years. Go and look elsewhere then. What's more important to you, staying in the organisation or getting the job that you want? Once you pick, then you know what you're living with. You can't have it all ways. And it goes back to that, you have to make decisions, right?
I think that was actually something I took a little while to learn, but it was actually through the actions of other people for me. But later in my career, somebody outright said that to me. And just went, make decisions about what you want. Go and book the things in your diary that you feel you need. No one's going to give it to you. Go and book it. Or go and take it. Or ask me for what you want. Whatever it is.
Yeah. And your career and all the choices you make, 100% your responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's not something that you can rely on other people to follow through. Because not just because it isn't their responsibility, but also because they've got responsibility for themselves. They're focused on themselves. So focusing on you is important.
Yeah, 100%.
If you could leave just one message in this world, what would that message be?
Oh, that's hard. I think at the moment, and I've been saying it so much, it's like, get out of your own head and get out of your own way. To everyone, about everything, whatever it is, not just career advice. Your money, your relationships, your family. Overthink everything. And sometimes you just got to get out of your own head and get out of your own way. And I know that's easier said than done because things are complicated. But we live in our own heads and not everything we believe or we think is true. And sometimes it holds us back.
What you shared today is incredibly valuable. The skills and behaviours gained and enhanced through the creation of a personal brand, self-advocacy and authenticity are, I believe, more and more necessary in a world where people have much more freedom and choice in where and how they work and what they want out of life and the role that impactful leadership has in that as well. If someone wanted to connect with you, Tas, and find out more about what you do or perhaps invite you to speak, where can they find you?
Yeah, I think the easiest place is on at Office Real Talk on Instagram. So you can find me there. And then otherwise on my LinkedIn, which is Tasneem Bhamji, and you'll see me all over LinkedIn doing something or another. But yeah, either of those places. And, I think for me, it's about connecting with as many people from as many backgrounds as possible and hoping that I can land any messages that might resonate. Or if there's people think I should be doing and talking, things I should be doing and talking about more, I'd love to hear from them.
Absolutely. And I'll put those links into the description for the episode as well. So if you want to get in touch with Tas, please visit the description and click on those links. Tas, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I think we all need someone like you in our lives who's more direct in what they want, holds more conviction in who they are, and has put the effort in to lead with that authenticity and self-advocacy that so many of us struggle to voice for ourselves. Those things alone are extremely inspiring. And I know you've made me think about how I do things for myself since our last conversation, never mind this one. I hope you've enjoyed your guest experience here today.
Yeah, I've loved it. And thank you for saying those things. That means a lot. I've loved meeting you and having this conversation. And I hope those listening to it find it really useful as well, because I think the work that you do is great. And I think bringing people experiences from diverse sets of people is always helpful in a world where that doesn't always happen so easily. So yeah, thank you for doing what you do as well.
You're most welcome. It's been an insightful and empowering conversation. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Until next time, everyone.